Hello and welcome to another review at Drones Visual. Today I'm excited, although I might get excited every time I receive a new product to review, but some products certainly excite me more than others, and such is the case of the little demon that I have over here. I literally just got hands on an almost ready prototype of the Eachine Racer 180 that is about to hit the market, and the reason I'm so excited is because this is a new breed of FPV racers for Eachine. This is not a typical racer, it's a tilt rotor racer, if I may call it so, but well, there might be some other names that apply to this sort of aircraft. Although I have tried tilted rotor racers before, like the Wakira Furious 320, that by the way, I want to publish in these days my review of that racer as well, with a nice crash, so you can all laugh at me. The Racer 180 behaves very differently, and I will explain later in the video why. My plan today was just to do an unboxing, but I decided to sacrifice a little bit of my time and offer you a light analysis of the quad and a quickie, meaning a quick flying session, so don't get any wrong ideas. Anyways, it's important to note that this is still a prototype, so you might see some differences once the final version comes out. Nonetheless, after this video you'll get a pretty decent idea of how are the components in this quad arranged and what can you expect from it when you take it out to the field for some action. As far as I know, there will be two versions of this quad, a version that comes without the receiver and there's another version that is the version that I have over here, that is the ready to fly version that comes with the receiver and the transmitter. So okay, let's get started by covering all that comes included with the Eachine Racer 180 in this compact box that you can see over here, as I imagine you're all excited to see more. Okay, so let's go ahead. As you can see, the first thing that we will encounter inside the box is the instruction manual, which, as you can imagine, is not very detailed, but well. This collection of stickers can be used to decorate the canopy of your FPV racer. For a moment I thought this quad was dedicated to the beautiful nation of France because of the colors on the stickers, they match the French flag. You never know. If we continue digging, we will find this plastic bag containing various components. Let's take a look at them one by one. The first thing we will find are these straps to keep the battery in place, not very strong and rather short. I like more the ones with the Eachine Wizard X220. Then we get this velcro to prevent the battery from sliding. Make sure you either use this on some sort of a rubbery mat, otherwise your battery will move and affect your flying. It happened to me during the flight test actually. Another thing inside the bag are these connectors for the flight controller, although with the ready to fly version you don't need to really worry about that because it's already hooked to the receiver. Then a tiny little wrench to get that FPV antenna properly attached to the transmitter. I have a bunch of these around already, but well, they come handy at times. And also something that Eachine, I think they have not included this before, is a nice sort of a neck strap for the transmitter. Included with the Eachine Racer 180, there will be two sets of props. These are 4 inches 3-blade bullnose props, and they are rock solid. They're much thicker than the ones that come with the Wizard X220, and I think they will be able to take some punishment without giving up, which is good news for those of you flying aggressively. Although I got this mushroom antenna with this sample, chances are that there will be a different antenna, sort of like an L-shaped FPV antenna with the quad. And as you can see here, this is a RP SMA male connector, so keep this in mind if you want to purchase some other antennas for it. To charge the battery, we of course get a simple balance charger. In one end we have the balance port to charge the included battery, and on the other end we have a connector for the power supply that also comes included. As many of you already have guessed, the included battery is a full 4-cell battery, and I believe this is the first time Eachine has included a 4S battery with Racer, but please correct me if I'm wrong. The capacity of the battery is 1100 milliamp, and as you can see, the balance port comes with this sort of protector, which is kind of nice to have. In case you're interested in the actual measurements of the battery, you can see it here. It's around 7 centimeters long or something like that, yeah, approximately. And then if we look here, it's 2.5 or something like that. And then the width, it's around 3.3 to 3.4 I would say. If we check the weight, which is of course very important, we can see that it weighs around 145 grams, I would say. To control this quad, as many of you probably have already guessed, we get the Eachine i6 transmitter, which many of you are familiar with. The good news that this time we get rechargeable batteries with the transmitter, and I'm lucky because I have actually a charger for these batteries, so it's good news to me. Finally, the new beauty emerges, featuring this nice light blue sort of sapphire canopy and shiny motors ready to roar. In case you didn't know, the Eachine Racer 180 comes with a basic version of the SP F3 racing flight controller without a compass or a barometer, so it means it's meant for racing. Although the camera included with the Racer 180 has a CCD sensor, it offers a decent resolution of 1000 TVL, which is not bad, I must say. The motors, as you can see, are quite different than the ones we have seen in previous quads from Eachine. These are 2205 2350 kV motors, and they are powered by 20 amp BLHeli ESCs, which I'll show you a little bit later. The motors are held in place by 4 screws that fix them to these carbon fiber plates that you can see over here. Now, the carbon fiber plates themselves are secured to the arms by these 4 screws that you can see over here. Personally, I think that there will be a lot of stress in those plates and they will probably not survive a crash, but time will tell about that. On the other side, you can see how the carbon fiber plates that hold the motors are attached to the carbon fiber arms. And then the wires coming from the motors, they basically travel all the way from the motors through the hollow carbon fiber arms and exit in the center. Then the wires go all the way down to the ESCs that I will show you a little bit later. In order for the motors to tilt, there are some bearings at each side that make possible the backward and forward movement of the arms when accelerating or braking. So you can see those very thin bearings and how they actually affect the movement of the arms. To prevent the bearings from moving out of place and sliding in towards the center of the rod, there's some sort of locks in place here. They can only be seen from beneath, and well, they're secure in place by 1 screw. You may also notice that one of them has sort of like an anchor point for the extension coming from the servo, which provides the force to move or tilt the arms forward or backward. If you travel down following the servo extension, you will notice a junction point with the servo at the center where both extensions attach to. The one that tilts the front arms and the one that tilts the rear arms. This over here is the junction that I talked to you that I was mentioning a while ago, and I personally feel that the antennas coming from the receiver are a little bit too close to that, but well. Something interesting that you may have noticed as well is that there's only one single carbon fiber rod, which basically means that if it breaks on one side you need to replace the whole thing, basically the whole rod, which is a little bit different in the Wakira Furious 320. If we take a look at the lateral section of this quad, we will see the servo coming out through an opening on the carbon fiber plate. The servo is secured in place by 4 screws that you can see over here, 2 on the top and then 2 on the bottom. And now I'm gonna be moving the arms here to give you an idea of how the servo and the arms interact when you arrive your pitch through the transmitter. Eachine has kept the landing gear of the Racer 180 very simple. What we basically have is an aluminum rod coated with a sort of a sponge. I prefer this rather than the classic carbon fiber landing gear that gets pretty much obliterated after a few crashes. This is the blue version of the Canopy that comes with the Racer 180. There will be a white grayish version as well. I like a lot the curvy design and also the fact that you can easily remove it. After all, every time you need to change the battery, you will need to remove it. Another thing is that it keeps all the wires from the battery away from the props, so that's a nice thing. Let me show you real quick now here the rear section, and also I would like to show you how to remove the canopy, which is pretty simple. It just takes 1 second, and then you can change the battery. Now this is how the quad looks like once the canopy has been removed. Those antennas certainly need some work, but we'll take care of that later. As you saw before, the body of the quad is composed of 2 lateral carbon fiber plates with many openings from ventilation, and I guess that to make the quad lighter as well. There are a series of screws that prevent them from falling apart. Then if we look here on the side, we have access to the flight controller, and the ESC's output connectors are located there as well. And then right above the servo, if I show you now in a moment, you will see a tiny connector, and let me tell you that that connector, this one here, is to connect the LED lights that I will show you a little bit later in the video. Then of course, as I mentioned a while ago, you basically get all these openings on the plates themselves to make them lighter, and I guess to ventilate the components as well. Eachine has over time learned that to keep the USB port sort of on a accessible place is important, and they have done this now. You can see it here, really easy to connect to your computer, and then you get the channels that go all the way to your receiver. If we take a look at the carbon fiber plate in the center where the battery goes, we can see that it has many openings as well, and then again I assume it's to make it lighter. There should be enough space in this section to place batteries of different sizes, so that's good if you have your own forest batteries. Over here you can see the 350 milliwatt 4-channel FPV transmitter that is secured with a plastic bracket and a sticky pad that you might not be able to see from here. Here on the top there is an opening that will allow you to access the channel selector in the FPV transmitter, which is also nice because sometimes it's placed in a position that you cannot access it. Let me show you the bracket that holds the transmitter in place. Not sure whether you're able to properly see it there, but it is there. Then the bracket that holds the FPV transmitter is kept in place by 2 screws that can be seen here. The FPV camera itself is being held in place by a structure that attaches to both lateral carbon fiber plates, and there are of course a couple of screws that prevent it from changing angle when you accelerate and so on. If we take a look at the front of the camera, you will notice the tiny screws that keep the camera itself in place. They are easy accessible, and you don't have a problem there if you need to change the camera. Something that I'm not very fond of is where the receiver was placed. It's there at the bottom. It could easily break if it encounters a hard object during landing, and it's only secured by a sticky pad. But to be fair, it's a little bit hard to find a decent spot in this quad to place the receiver, but I think there is a little bit of a dangerous spot for it. If you're interested in the dimensions of the Racer 180, here I'll show you approximate, so you can, in case you want to make some sort of a case or something to carry it, you can do it. I want to show you a little bit better the internal components of the Racer 180. Completely taking this quad apart would take too long, so I'm just gonna expose some of the components rather than completely taking it apart, so you get a better idea of what's inside. The flight controller is held in place by a carbon fiber plate that inserts into the lateral plates that make up the quad. I think this might cause some vibrations, but we'll see that later. Then if we move and we take a look at the arms, basically to change the tilt of the motors, we need the bearings that I was talking about before, and you can see them that they're pretty thin actually, and once you remove those lateral carbon fiber plates, they move freely along the carbon fiber rod. Then we have the 20 amps ESC that are integrated into the circuit board, as you can see here. The scary thing is, well, if you break one, pretty much you need to change the whole thing. And right on top of the FPV transmitter, we'll have a connector, I think, for the camera. Seems to be for the camera. And then the red and black wires go all the way to a little tiny ESC and then to the camera. Here you can see it. It looks like an ESC to me, but it might be something else. Then if we look right next to it, we will find a connector for the buzzer that is properly labeled. I'm not sure if you can see it though, it's tiny letters. And then you'll pretty much find the wiring that connects the ESCs to the flight controller. The receiver is connected via PWM, and so you basically have 4 signal wires merging into one large connector, and then the 5th channel with the power and ground wire, and finally the servo that connects directly into the receiver, which is kind of, yeah. So basically with the pitch, you will control that servo. Remember that I mentioned to you about the LEDs? Well, this is how they are connected. You know, once you place them, I mean, in the final version, you obviously get them. You don't need to place them yourself. But I just wanted to show you how it looks like once you place the LEDs on the quad, and they go connected here to the connector in the center here. Okay, now let's go ahead and do a really quick test. I got the battery almost full now, so I think I can definitely fly for some time because I mean I couldn't charge it to the fullest because I was in a little bit of a hurry, so excited to try this, but okay. Once we unlock the motors by pressing the yaw downward and to the center for a couple of seconds, we will hear the buzzer beep, and then we know we can take off. The motors won't spin right away after you unlock them, but if you don't like that, you can go ahead and connect the flight controller to your PC and change that in clean flight. The prototype that I'm just flying right now, it has stabilized mode assigned to the 3-position switch, but the final version will come with 3 flying modes, of course. Very windy day today, and I think the wind is not affecting it much actually. These are pretty strong motors, and something that I noticed right away is that it has this tendency to go forward, just like the Falcon 250, and I think this is probably because the motors are a little bit tilted forward, but I guess you could change that by using the trim button for the pitch, and you probably can adjust a little bit how much it goes forward or whether it goes or not. I think you can do that change. Let me show you real quick here in front of the camera how the arms and the motors behave. The forward propulsion of this quad is just insane. In a straight line, I think this quad is gonna be a killer. This is like the mini version of an American muscle car. It feels so agile. It's like watching a dragonfly. I'm still wondering whether the yaw rate, why the yaw rate is so slow. I'm not quite sure whether this was done on purpose or what, but with these tilted motors, it can kind of neutralize the inertia of forward and backward movement very efficiently. These motors are working like lions now, braking, going forward, then all of a sudden backward. I'm not sure if you get the same feeling just by seeing it fly, but to me it feels very agile and responsive. It will take some time for me to get used to flying it, but so far I'm liking it. It certainly has its own personality, and I think you will realize as soon as you try it that it feels very different to fly. It's always nice to try new stuff. I'm glad that Eachine is experimenting with this new sort of kind of aircraft. Something I noticed later was that the battery was a little bit loose, as I forgot to place the Velcro to secure it. So make sure you actually secure the battery, otherwise you will notice some strange movement as the battery moves from one side to the other in the battery compartment. So make sure you use the straps and you use the Velcro or some sort of rubbery mat. Let me try to show you the acceleration better in a straight line, because maybe flying in circle, well, it's not good enough. The forward acceleration is insane, and I'm a little bit afraid that the battery actually will shift place, but you can still see these motors are really propelling this thing forward at an impressive speed. I think the quad certainly needs to use a 4S battery, and I'm actually eager to try a battery with a higher discharge rate. Chances are that we will find some surprises if we do that. I think a 3S battery won't be suitable for this quad, so Eachine made the right choice by including a 4S battery. I don't really want to be saying this, but this feels like the fastest quad from Eachine, at least when it comes to acceleration in a straight line. More testing will be required to see whether it will be able to display the same agility of the Wizz Air X220 when it comes to flying, to the flying experience in general, but nonetheless, there is something unique about this quad that separates it from other Eachine FPV racers. Again, I always look forward to more experienced pilots and to listen to what they have to say about it, but as I mentioned before, I'm liking it, and it certainly will be fun to fly. Although, I mean, it might not meet the needs or expectations of some of you, but in my case, I'm liking it a lot. I will now end by covering a little bit what I liked about the quad and what I think it could be improved. First of all, thanks to Eachine for a really nice, for including a nice flight controller. I mean, last quad I tried had an Ace32, and now a few weeks later I get this one with an F3 Racing. The 2205 motors of this little quad seem really powerful, giving a great forward propulsion, and the props are solid as well. The tilt rotors are really awesome to try, although I don't have a lot of experience with tilt rotors, so it would be hard to me to exactly assess whether the setup with this servo is the best. Then the 4S battery also goes into the list of things I like. What I didn't like so much was the fact that the receiver was placed there under, not properly secured, and I'm a little bit afraid that it could break if you land on a rock or a hard object. Then the other thing that I found a little bit fragile was the carbon fiber plates that hold the motors. I think there will be a lot of stress there and they could break. I'm not sure if having the integrated ESC is the best way to go, as damaging one would mean that you need to replace the whole unit. And the flight controller could be probably secured in a different way, but I'm not sure yet how that will be possible. But I think there's some vibrations that might get into it. Then one thing you must consider as well is that it's not so simple to actually take this quad apart. So if something breaks, it will take some time to replace. The FPV transmitter will require more testing, as I didn't cover that. And then the camera has a good resolution, although I know that many of you have been pressing for an CMOS sensor. Anyways, still the resolution of this one, it's fine. If you find my video informative, and please hit the like button and drop me some comments, and I would certainly appreciate that. Also, if you like the topic of drones and would like to get the latest news and reviews directly from China, subscribe to my channel. And if I skip something or I forgot something, don't hesitate to drop me some comments and I will certainly reply. And if I have said anything stupid or made some mistakes, drop me some comments as well and let me know, and I will correct it by placing some notes in the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all in my next video.